So what do you think James Cameron's pitch was to Kate Winslet to be in this movie? Like, do you think he was like, hey, got another role for you? It's a movie that involves a boat and water and maybe some submerging of said vessel again. Welcome back to Oscar in the Middle, everybody. Today, our Best Picture nominee is Avatar: The Way of Water. Avatar: The Way of Water is the sequel to James Cameron's groundbreaking cinematic epic Avatar: The Last Airbender. James Cameron's groundbreaking cinematic epic Avatar, this time following Jake Sully and his family as they escape the Sky People once again, this time hiding out in a water-based community. It stars Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Sigourney Weaver, Stephen Lang, and Kate Winslet. Fun fact, I came back from the dentist early this morning, and the entire left side of my face, like my entire left cheek, is quite numb. So this should be interesting. Like, for a while after, every time I tried to say a word that began with F, I kind of felt like this. So I did see Avatar: The Way of Water, and I actually finally did get to see the original Avatar the day before that. I actually hadn't seen Avatar until literally 2 weeks ago, and I know that that is a crime, but I hadn't gotten to it. No, that's not true. I did start it, and I got 45 minutes in, and then it was way too late for a 2.5 hour movie, and that was about 5 years ago. So I finally finished it. And I know that there was a lot of hype to live up to with all the expectations and everything from the last decade of people talking about this movie, but I did think that it was very good. I really, really liked it. I loved the action. I loved the visuals were stunning. It was insane. I thought the story was also very well done, if not kind of formulaic. It's kind of a basic premise, but I thought it was just really awesome. The design of this world, it was just so cool. A lot of what I'm going to talk about with this one is kind of what I would think about the first Avatar as well, so I'll talk about it more with the sequel. But I did think that it was really fun, and I do get the hype from when it first came out. Following that, the highs of this movie, obviously the first one is just the visuals once again. They are just insanely good. I accidentally saw this movie in 3D. Yes, I did say accidentally. I thought it was just IMAX, but it turns out it was 3D. They were like, here's your glasses, and I was like, what? Honestly, if I was going to be seeing a movie accidentally in 3D, Avatar would be it, because man, the cinematography, how they shoot everything, just it feels like you're flying and you're swimming. It's so crystal clear underwater. It feels like you are really under there. The last time I really had that kind of thing was with Goblet of Fire, with the second task, where it's underwater and you really feel submerged under there. But instead of it being creepy like that one, this time it's just supposed to be beautiful. And man, it is. And then, of course, again, the flying, once again, just the scope of everything is just insane. Now, I will say this, I guess, is sort of a middle or a low, but I'm just going to throw it in here right now. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought about this with the first Avatar, and I actually thought about this with this one. As honestly, I know it's its thing, but I just think that the CGI is at best like a really, really good looking video game. Sometimes it's better than others, for sure, and a lot of it is as good as we've probably had in the last couple of years of CGI. But generally, especially when there's movement, especially with the creatures, not the Na'vi or the Avatar, but the like the dogs or beasts or whatever, I did think that they were, Honestly, I think that the design and CGI of Thanos himself was better than most of the stuff in this or the first movie. That being said, again, the visuals, how it's shot, the camera work, all of that, the cinematography, the lighting, everything, more than makes up for it. Just more than makes up for it, seriously. Because honestly, I just love the design of this world. It's beautiful and it's nature-based. I love their attention to giving care and love to nature. I do think it's a little weird that for as much respect as they have for animals, that they have to hold them down and pin their tails to them to conquer them. Just how everything is set up geographically, I guess. The forest, the water, the weird skyrock things, and then of course at nighttime the bioluminescent plants and everything is just gorgeous. It's so cool. I wish I could live there, honestly. And even just how the Na'vi are designed as well, where they also kind of look like the night sky when it gets dark, and they have like like what looks like constellations on their face and everything. It's a really good looking world. along with the visuals, the action as well in the times where it's not like a zoo documentary, and that's beautiful as well. But the action, which is the other thing that we're promised with these movies, is amazing, and you get your fill. I mean, this is 3 hours. It's very long. It doesn't necessarily feel like 3 hours. Like, yeah, by the end you're like, wow, it's been a long. But like while you're in it, because there's just so much great action going on, and the way that they use their environment and everything was just awesome, and the way it relates to the characters, especially later on. There's one moment towards the end of the movie that I thought was just awesome in relation to the parents and the kids, and the action that was going on there and what they had to do to get out of a certain situation. I thought it was just one of the best moments of the movie. And I thought that the story in general for this one was great. I thought it was a great addition to the first one, especially considering there's now going to be 5 total. I thought it progressed pretty well, and I really liked Jake Sully's character arc in this one, not only just for how it rounded out his arc in this movie, but how it's continuing, it's progressing for the rest of the series, because again, this is going to be 5, and I'm trying to figure out if it will be good to have 5, or if it's going to be too much. I'm not really sure. Fantastic Beasts went to have 5. But I did think that the story was really great. I thought they gave great attention to almost all of the characters. Some were, I think, sidetracked a little bit more than others, but everybody kind of got their fill. And I think they all had some really great depth, really great character arcs. They were fleshed out really well. Yeah, so I thought the story was great this time around. Somehow, though, most of my middles actually do involve some of the characters. One of the middles is the teen angst, which is one of the big lows from people that I had heard going into the movie. And like, I gotta be honest with you, I didn't find it that bad. There are a lot of kids. There's a lot of kids in this movie, and there's a lot of kids fighting and being terrible to each other. I thought I was watching House of the Dragon for a second. But I thought, while it was a good chunk of the movie, and it's like, all right, let's get to the bigger stuff. Honestly, those kinds of conflicts with kids who are old enough to do some bad shit, but young enough to not realize how much of an effect it has, I think that is some pretty good conflict. It does get a little annoying sometimes. It's like, all right, come on, let's get to the bigger stuff. But I thought it was fine, especially because for kids watching this, and for even adults who remember what it was like to be, a kid and have problems with other kids, it resonates, I think. And it also did give way to parts of the bigger plot as well, very naturally. So I thought it was fine. My other middle for this is General Quaritch coming back as an avatar, because on one hand, it made him feel a little goofy. He was out of his element, he had to learn all this stuff, and some of it was like, it felt like he didn't feel as much of a threat in some spots. It just kind of seemed like, come on, you can whoop his ass, right? But I gotta say, there were times he did not hold back, and he did not care that some of these kids that he was dealing with were kids. He did not give a shit. Even out of his element, he's still scary as hell. So I thought that they ended up doing a good job with that. Part of it for me, though, is honestly just the fact that they just went in the direction of bringing him back rather than have a new antagonist, which I think we all thought it was going to go that way. I didn't realize they were just going to be continuing the story, which, I mean, I guess does make sense. Like, if, they lost the Sky People, the Americans, in the first movie, I guess it would make sense that they would come back, with better armor, better firepower, whatever. Obviously, Quaritch has kind of a more personal vendetta against Jake Sully, which is a little weird considering it's, him as an avatar, it's him, but not him. So I'm like, why are you just doing the mission? So there were a couple things with this that I was like, it might have been better to have a new antagonist, and to be honest with you, I kind of wish that they went with that, just because now I'm like, all right, well, I guess this will provide a great through line for the 5 movies that we're going to have, but is it going to get tiring? Is it going to get repetitive? And this is kind of where I get into my low. The way that they keep Quaritch a villain for the next movie, for the third one, just kind of feels contrived. It feels a little convenient, like they're just trying to draw this out now. And that's why I'm like, this is such a great world. Expand more of it, and you can have more conflict with the other communities rather than the Sky People again. I think maybe if they had done the Sky People again for this one, and then done others for the next 3, while having a big character arc for Jake Sully, I think that would have been good. with this, I'm not so sure because it feels like they're trying to draw it out. And to be honest with you, it feels like they're kind of getting into Star Wars territory where they have all these questions that are being raised and they have all these, things that are interesting, but it feels like it's gonna fall flat. And it feels like the way that they're making everything happen to draw it out into this entire series, it's gonna start to, at least for me, probably feel like a lot of things are happening on purpose just so they can continue with the movies instead of it feeling like a natural end to something. So I'm hoping it doesn't go that way because I am now very intrigued in this world, but we'll see. And of course, now, with the third one, we're going to be introduced to the Ash people. Is this not Avatar: The Last Airbender? But I honestly think that's going to be really cool. And again, I think they would maybe be a better antagonist if they are going to be the antagonist. I'm not really sure. I just think it'd be really cool if we had other people. But I am glad that we're exploring this world some more because it is just really cool. So overall, Avatar: The Way of Water I thought was a great follow-up to the first one. They just got all these elements to them that no matter what you like, you're going to like something in it. If you want something that's more visual, something that's more action, something that's like really great to look at and fall asleep to, but then parts that are like get you hyped up and like hell yeah. And it might seem very simple and straightforward, but it's got a lot of layers to it and they're just great stories. They're incredibly well shot. I think they're very well acted. I really liked it. I think I still like the first one better just because it is the original. It feels tighter and more straightforward. But this one I think added a lot of layers to it. I'm just a little concerned if they're going too big and trying to do not too much, but trying to stretch it out too far. So we'll see how that goes. But I did like The Way of Water for all the messages and themes that it had, all the new concepts, all the new imagery and action. I'm going to give Avatar: The Way of Water a 3.5 out of 4. Well, guys, let me know what you thought of Avatar: The Way of Water. Did you like it better than the first? What do you think about the next coming movies? And do you think it's going to win Best Picture? And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and movies right in the middle. I'll see you guys later.